guys, welcome back. So today's video is going to be my all-time favorite makeup brushes. You may notice a trend that a lot of them are certain brands, but this video is not sponsored. It's just I've tried lots of brands and these are the ones that I like. So for foundation, my all-time favorite has always been the Sigma F80 Flat Top Kabuki. Now this is just your flat brush for foundation. But recently I've kind of changed my tune, and I don't know necessarily like the brand of the brush that I want, but the shape of the brush for a foundation I have liking lately has changed. So rather than like the flat tops, I've been liking more of a smaller, tighter, rounded top that's a little bit more dense that I can buff. So let me show you an example. It would be something like, so this is the flat top. Obviously it has a flat top. This one is a little bit more rounded. So this is by Jessup. I know Sigma makes a rounded one. I don't even have a name for this. Jessup is available on eBay. They make a lot of knockoffs for Sigma brushes and some of like the high-end MAC brushes and stuff. So check out Jessup if you're looking for some affordable brushes that do really well. I think they've held up just as well as my Sigma brushes. And I'm actually liking the rounded shape now more. Elf's blending like foundation brush is okay, but it's not quite as dense as I like. It goes for like the Real Techniques one that's the similar shape. It's fine, it's okay, but it's really like loosey-goosey. I like it to be a little bit tighter, packed a little bit tighter. Okay, so I used to be a foundation, concealer with my finger kind of gal. Then I went through the Beauty Blender phase where Beauty Blenders are really big and I like to use the Beauty Blender to tap in my foundation and my concealer. But now I actually like a Kabuki. Now the set that I got off eBay was from Jessup again. Jessup, in case you're looking for it. They're very affordable and it came with like a 5-pack of small Kabuki brushes. What I mean by that is something like this. It looks just like that foundation brush. Sorry, one of them is dirty. But they're just like mini versions, and I like the small rounded one in the center. Again, these do not have specific names, but the shape of it is so that you can get right under that eye. And I really like this shape. So check out Jessup, but Sigma does make great concealer brushes. I just don't happen to own any. Don't like are the paintbrush types. They're like a flat paddle. I just don't like that kind of brush. I have several of them. Concealer brushes, they're just not for me. For setting my under eye concealer, I have a couple of favorites. This is the e.l.f. small tapered brush. Yes, e.l.f., $3. It is exactly as it's described, a small tapered little blush brush almost. This one is great for highlighter, for setting the under eyes. That taper gets right into the inner corner of the eye, like for setting right in there with powder. It also can contour because it's got a tip that's a little bit more pointy so you can get right in that groove on your cheeks. But I also like the Sigma tapered highlighter brush. Very similar in shape. Sigma one has the silver barrel, silver ferrule, but you can tell they're very similar. The Sigma one is probably 4 times the price, but very similar purposes. This is called a tapered highlighter brush and this one's called a small tapered brush. But basically it's got the tapered shape so it gets right into the inner corner, but can also contour and highlight. So I really like these. I use them interchangeably. When one's dirty I switch to the other one. To me they're the same. They're both really soft. They both have held up really, very well throughout washings. And I also have the Jessup tapered highlighter brush, which is, like I said, pretty much a knockoff of the other one. So Jessup, Sigma, and e.l.f. all make a very similar brush. That's my favorite shape for highlighting and for like the under eye setting powders. But actually for highlighting I have a couple more. This one is by Sigma. It's the Sigma F03 High Cheekbone Highlighter. And it's basically it's kind of like a big eyeshadow blending brush or a small blush brush. It's not tapered, just a little bit of a rounded tip, and it does a really good job of getting that highlighter right on the top of the cheekbones. Here's the comparison. This is the Sigma tapered highlighter brush that I was just talking about, and this is the high cheekbone highlighter. It's much smaller. The rose gold ferrule. It's much smaller not tapered at the top. I don't care about bristle color, I don't care about ferrule color, I don't care about the handle color, anything like that, handle length. They are different in this case, but none of that matters to me. The biggest thing is the shape of the brush, how soft the bristles are, how well they wash and hold up to like wear and tear, being washed and dried and washed and dried and washed and dried. If they dry and like lose their shape, or they start losing pieces of hair or fake hair, whatever the case may be, then I'm like, eh. But another brush that I like, this is the Sigma F37 Spotlight Duster. So this is much larger. I'll show you up against the tapered highlighter brush and the high cheekbone highlighter. You can see this one is way bigger, like double the size. But this one is good, Spotlight Duster. I like this one for, you can use it for highlighter. It's very soft, very wispy. The shape is great because it's tapered. You could do your under eye powder if you needed to. I like this one for like a shimmery blush because it doesn't give you that like, it's not so dense that you're going to get a very intense, high pigmented coverage. It's so, like, it's called a duster for a reason. It's really just like, it dusts a little bit of shimmer on your cheeks. It's just very light and airy, and I like that about it. It's not something that I would use to like dark contour or anything like that. Brush that is very similar is the Sigma F25 Tapered Face Brush. That's with the silver ferrule. So they're very similar, but the tapered face brush is a lot bigger. The shape is similar. It is tapered, but I would say not more. But yeah, they're very similar in shape, but I like the tapered face brush because this one I can apply things to a larger area of the face, like bronzer, and it's not going to give me that harsh line. It is very wispy, long bristles, and they're very fluffy and easy to move. So I won't get that like extreme pigmentation that I might be looking for. That's what I would choose, a stiffer brush. But this one is really good for just like general bronzing of the forehead. It's just a light dusting kind of a thing. I really like this. For blush, I have a couple of favorites. This one is by IT Cosmetics. It's the Heavenly Luxe Radiance Wand number 14. I've had this in my monthly favorites videos multiple times. It's a large blush brush. I know Marc Jacobs makes one that may be even bigger than this. I see it in the store every time I go to Sephora and I want it. But it's got a little bit of a taper at the tip, but I really like the size of this for all over bronzing or blushing. You don't have a lot of control as far as like exactly where you want blush. So you use this when you don't care if it goes everywhere. So this is great for powder. It's the Radiance Wand. So you kind of like, I could use this for my hourglass powders that just give my whole face a nice glow, but I can also use it for bronzer and blush. I really like this one. I like it also because it's very soft. IT Cosmetics brushes are amazing. They're expensive, but it does a really good job of blending out, like when your cheek stuff's too much, your contour and your blush, you can kind of blend them together. It's just a very soft brush. It feels so good on the face. The other blush brush I like a lot, this one is dirty as I used it today, is the Real Techniques brush. This is just their blush brush. It comes in the starter kit, and it's very similar to that Radiance Wand. It's a little bit smaller. So as you can see, the pink one is the Real Techniques. Pretty similar. The Real Techniques one is probably half or a third of the price. Very soft, washes well, does a good job. So, I mean, I'm sharing the love here. I've got e.l.f., Sigma, IT Cosmetics, Real Techniques, different price points, and I like them. I have another drugstore brush that you might like too in a moment coming up. Okay, so I have another shape of brush that I'm going to talk about that I like for when I want a very precise application of blush. Rather than a big fluffy brush like this, I want something that's it gives me a little bit more control. So this is the Real Techniques blush brush I was just showing you. This is the e.l.f. blush brush. They're very different in shapes. The e.l.f. blush brush is not nearly as fluffy when you turn it to the side. It's like way flatter. But it allows me to use a very pigmented product and just tap it where I want it. And then sometimes I'll go in with a fluffy brush like this one and blend it out, just to give me that softer look. But I like this because if I'm using something where I don't want all over my face, I may not need a smaller targeted brush for a stiff application. This one's still soft and it can blend, But I like this one because I can do just the apples of my cheeks. You know, I don't have to like go and get the entire cheek area as I would with a big brush. So this shape of brush I have at a few different brands. So that's the e.l.f. blush brush, so I think it's $3. This one is by Crown. Unfortunately, Crown brushes don't always put the names of the brushes on it. I think this one came from Haute Look on a deal with a set of many other brushes in a brush roll. But it is a similar size. You could use this as a multitasking brush as well for getting in that under eye concealer, highlighting, contouring, targeted application of blush. They're really very similar. It's not tapered or anything. Very similar shapes. But then also I like this one by IT Cosmetics. This is from their sculpting set. This is the IT Cosmetics by Ulta Highlight and Define brush. The Define brush is like a small flat top kabuki. It's okay. I will use it. I'll use it for concealer and stuff, but I don't like the square shape of it. It's like a flat kabuki. I prefer the rounded kind. But the other side, this is their, what they call their highlighter brush in that sculpting kit from Ulta, and I like it. It's very similar to the others. This shape of brush I find very useful for blush and targeted application of powder products. Yes, I'm mostly talking about brushes for powder products right now because I tend to use mostly powder products. Just something to keep in mind. This is another product that came in that IT Cosmetics sculpting powder brush set thing at Ulta. It's their IT Cosmetics contour brush. And as you can see, it's like a flat brush. And I'll turn it to its side so you can see. It's very flat. This gives you that cut, crisp line for your cheeks for contouring. And you can even like tap it in a contour powder just like this and then like stamp it right where you want it, and that'll like almost stamp your face with that brown line, and then take a bigger brush and blend it out if you want. But I like this brush shape for contouring the sides of the nose because it is stiff enough so it's not gonna like move on you when you try to plant it down, but it's not quite like loosey-goosey enough for you to blend a whole bunch. So this is more what I want, like a structured line, structured contour. I have to mention this one. It is not a brush I would consider one of my favorites. This is a Becca brush. I don't remember what it's called, but it's basically the big sister of the one I just showed you. It's a flatter brush by Becca, and it's just huge. I mean, I can't even tell you. Like, it's ginormous. I can't use it to contour. It's better for blending. I don't know. I've only used it a handful of times, and I just never really could get into this. I have it. Maybe I'd use it in a pinch, but this was expensive. I want to say it was like $30 to $50 for this thing, and not worth it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Click the little bell next to subscribe to be notified when I put out a new video, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.